Greetings, North American Baptist Fellowship. On Tuesday, March 4th, I was honored to give my first report before the Baptist World Alliance Executive Committee as the General Secretary of NABF. As I share information on what's happening in our North American region, which is comprised of Canada and the United States, I had to acknowledge that we are living in an era of mass misinformation, where truth is distorted, justice is delayed, and the most vulnerable are cast aside. Right now, lies are pacifying the multitudes while many people are suffering in fear and silence. And the question I asked the committee remains: whose report will you believe? Even as I think about the NABF, I recognize that some people say they don't understand our purpose and that we have no way of rising together, and that our best days are behind us. Well, in this season, when we have experienced tremendous growth, we know that's false. And we know the truth is our time is now. The North American Baptist Fellowship must be a collective prophetic voice in North America. We are called to respond to what's happening in our region, the perpetual divisiveness, the distortion of truth, the lack of accountability for leaders, mass layoffs, and the sin of unsatiated greed. The wealth gap is widening by billions each day, enriching a few while pushing many into poverty. And this includes the abandoning of thousands to die due to recent cuts in U.S. aid. NABF, we are called to respond to the demonization of diversity, equity, and inclusion, to the desensitization and normalization of racism, xenophobia, marginalization, and hatred of all kinds, including the appalling treatment of poor immigrant and vulnerable people. These things are not only affecting our two nations, but the entire world, and indeed our witness as the body of Christ. Yesterday, on Ash Wednesday, we began the season of Lent, and I have been reflecting on Isaiah 58, verses 6 through 9 states, "Is not this the kind of fasting I've chosen, to loose the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke, to set the oppressed free and break every yoke? Is it not to share your food with the hungry and to provide the poor wanderer with shelter when you see the naked to clothe them, and not to turn away from your own flesh and blood? Then your light will break forth like the dawn, and your healing will appear quickly. Then your righteousness will go before you, and the glory of the Lord will be your rear guard. Then you will call, and the Lord will answer. You will cry for help, and he will say, 'Here I am.'" NABF, now is the time for us to rise and declare righteousness over deception. We must decree justice over oppression. Let us proclaim unity over division. As tensions rise between the U.S. and Canada, we must still stand together, understanding that our diversity and difference is our strength. Let us pronounce faith over fear, for we will not be silent, and we are not going to shrink back. At such a time as this, I implore us to pray, I implore us to fast, and to work together. See, the good news is, this is not only a time to act, but it's also a time to gather. So on behalf of our President, Emmett Dunn, and our Executive Committee, I invite you to join us for the NABF Leadership Roundtable on Thursday, March 27th at 12 p.m. noon, Eastern Standard Time. This is a virtual meeting that will be hosted on Zoom. NABF, please remember, there is an acceptable fast. We have a prophetic call, so let's do our collective work. I pray that you will join us on March 27th. I also pray that this season of Lent will be transformative. I pray that you will be encouraged and not lose hope. And again, I ask, whose report will you believe? God bless.